Rick Perry has announced his new plan on taxes. I hope you're sitting. Turns out he wants to cut them. Really? Or as Aaron Burnett would say, seriously? So here's his new proposal. He wants, first of all, personal accounts for Social Security, meaning he would like to privatize Social Security. So here comes another Texas governor with that same plan to gut Social Security. He wants to do an optional flat tax of 20%, which means that if you pay less than 20% right now, whether you're a millionaire or otherwise, you can keep paying that lower rate. Now, the lower rate also helps the middle class and the poor, but it gets capped out at 20%, meaning the rich don't have to pay a nickel above 20%. They get a giant tax cut from 35 to 20. It also eliminates tax on dividends and most capital gains, meaning that all the money that they have today that gets reinvested, they don't have to pay a dime in taxes. So if you're a contractor and you go out there and work with your hands all year long in whatever kind of weather, temperature, etc., you're gonna have to pay taxes on every dime you make. But if you're Steve Forbes and you're a millionaire or a billionaire, I believe he's just a millionaire, that money was given to you by your father, and all you do is invest it in stocks and other portfolio that you have, you don't have to pay a dime in taxes, according to Rick Perry's plan. Later, you will find out who came up with this plan. Here's a hint, Steve Forbes. That was a little more than a hint. The corporate tax rate goes to 20% and other giant savings for multinational corporations. So that is today at 35%, so giant cut. There's a cap of federal spending at 18% of GDP. Currently, it is at 24% of GDP, meaning there would be gigantic spending cuts. A full quarter of our entire spending would have to be eliminated, Department of Education, etc. All gone because he's got to have more tax cuts for the rich. Speaking of which, they keep on rolling. He would eliminate the estate tax, meaning that if you are Paris Hilton and your grandfather, Conrad Hilton, is going to leave you tens of millions, hundreds of millions, I don't know how much he left you, great, you don't have to pay a dime in taxes. Everything's going to be hunky-dory for the Paris Hiltons of the world. Did she make that money? No. Did she earn that money? No. Doesn't matter. 0% taxes. If you earn your money, you got to pay a lot of taxes. Paris Hilton sits on her ass in her house in Beverly Hills. She doesn't have to pay any taxes, according to Rick Perry. Goes on, balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Again, that's a route to cut spending drastically. Repeal of the Affordable Care Act, saying that if you are going to get help by President Obama's health care proposal, well, no more. You will have to go back to the days of pre-existing conditions, etc., which is actually what we live in today until it gets fully implemented in 2014. Repeal of Dodd-Frank, which means that we will lift all regulations on Wall Street, what little there was, that was passed. He would raise the Social Security and Medicare eligibility age, so you're going to have to work longer, way past 67. And he would review and potentially repeal all federal regulation passed under Obama, including any regulations on, for example, clean air or clean food. So that is all that you have to look forward to under the Rick Perry administration. If it sounds like it isn't much to look forward to, well, that's because you're not a millionaire. If you were a millionaire or a billionaire, you would think that this was awesome, because it will save them a ton of money. To give you a sense of it, the guy who helped come up with Rick Perry's plan is Steve Forbes. Why does Steve Forbes love this plan? Well, first of all, he's the one who came up with it. In his initial proposal, when he ran for president, it was a 17% flat tax. This is, in essence, a 20% flat tax. The reason he loves it is, according to an analysis, and let me tell you who it's done by, Citizens for Tax Justice, Steve Forbes would have saved over 30 years $1.9 billion in taxes, himself personally, if his original proposal had gone through. Now, this is a little higher. It's 20 rather than 17%, so maybe he'll only save $1.5 billion. Gee, I wonder why he came up with this proposal and gave it to Rick Perry. I can't quite figure it out. So, by the way, Steve Forbes also loves Herman Cain's flat tax proposal, which is even bigger than Rick Perry's, because it would cut his taxes all the way down to 9%. And guess who supported and backed that? Steve Forbes. Okay. By the way, Steve Forbes is also a big advocate of Herman Cain's plan to also cut the payroll tax so that Social Security and Medicare cannot get funded. He thinks it's a wonderful idea that would help to get rid of those programs. So you can either get rid of it through Herman Cain's programs or you get rid of it through Rick Perry's programs, which would privatize it. And either way What's funny and interesting is that Steve Forbes and other billionaires like the Koch brothers who support Herman Cain would all get even richer than they currently are. Well, at least somebody wins from those programs. Now, Rick Perry was asked to explain this, and he was on with John Harwood. Let's watch.
Those that want to get into the class warfare and talk about, oh my goodness, there are going to be some folks here who make more money out of this or have access to more money, I'll let them do that.
But for those at the top, it is hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars for them.
But I don't care about that. What I care about is them having the dollars to invest in their companies.
Oh, I love it. There it is. I don't care about that. Yeah, of course I'm going to give hundreds of millions of dollars to the richest people in the country. I don't care about that. In fact, he's actually not telling the truth there. He cares deeply about it. That's why he made this proposal. Because his donors paid him to do this proposal. And so, but it's a wonderfully brazen attitude to a guy who's trying to get votes from the other 99%, where he says, look, it doesn't go to you, it goes to my rich donor friends. I don't care about that.